Grant Parish has many of the traditional Louisiana row crops of corn, soybeans, and cotton. However, it's also known for its pecan orchards. As TWILA's Karl Wiggers shows us, that crop fared far worse than neighboring fields during Hurricane Laura.
This is what's happening in Grant Parish weeks after Hurricane Laura has blown through this rural part of the state. Grant Parish Farm Bureau President Ryan Yerby says Laura was the worst storm that he's seen come through.
Isaac was a pretty rough one that tore up our cotton crop. But in my lifetime, there has never been a storm that has passed through this parish like this one. But the main thing that took a hit for Grant Parish was the pecan crop. Our pecan crop was totally devastated. I'm going to call it probably 100% loss. The trees were loaded up pretty good. They were nice and heavy, and when those winds came through, it stripped the trees of everything.
The aftermath was nothing new. Cutting your way with a chainsaw out of your driveway wasn't anything new, but that's nothing I thought I would ever experience being here. You know, Ryan's from here, but I've been here 12 years now, and the most we've ever had is the aftermath, when a hurricane turns into a tropical storm, and then you have, slight winds, maybe a tornado warning, or, some flood damage, but nothing like we experienced 2 weeks ago.
I got the history on this orchard.
That's the same experience for the Yerby's neighbor, Ben Littlepage, who helps run his family's pecan farm at McNeely Crossing.
I've never seen one like this ever before. And I talked to people that's older than me and hadn't seen one like this.
Littlepage, his family, and his friends have their work cut out for them as they pick up the pieces left behind after Hurricane Laura.
It's hard to get a good count, but 35 to 40% of our trees are damaged. We lost all our pecan crop for this year, as far as I can tell. What trees stayed up knocked the pecans on the ground.
So the wind came at the worst possible time. The limbs were the heaviest. You could see them. They were loaded down with the pecans. And of course, that was the time when the wind picked the whole top of the tree. We have trees that are in the 10 to 15-year-old stage, and it blew them over because their tops were so heavy, blew them out of the ground, so their root system came up.
So this will probably knock us 2 or 3 years before these trees recuperate, most of them, to get us back in some normal production.
Littlepage Farms will have to replace the trees they've completely lost. That will take much longer than 2 to 3 years. Littlepage says they'll push forward, but it will take some time to recover from the storm that the year 2020 has been for them.
Pecan business is a hard way to make a living, even in a good year. In the last couple of years, prices have been suppressed, and then we had the virus this year. But we're not going to give up. No, sir. As long as we can afford to keep going. It's not a soybean crop. You can't just replant it next year. It takes about 15 years to get a tree producing.
Grant Parish began harvesting soybeans this week. It's still too early to tell if there will be any long-term damage from Hurricane Laura. We'll follow up on this story in the coming weeks.